Joining us now is retired four-star General Wesley Clark, former NATO Supreme Allied Commander. General, it's great seeing you. I thank you for your time. What do you make of this decision to allow Ukraine to use these U.S.-provided long-range weapons to strike inside Russia?
I think it's a political move by the United States to respond to aggression, escalation by Putin. I think the military effects, every additional weapon system helps, but it's too little, too late to have any decisive impact on the outcome of the fight. Maybe it will help Ukraine hold on to Kursk, but I see it as primarily a political gesture. Remember, Jose, that in addition to sort of announcing this, the Pentagon actually has to approve each target because they have to provide the specific targeting information in a certain format to feed into the ATACMS missile. So this is, as Kelly said, this is far from being a sort of let's have at 'em decision. This is a very restrained decision, has a certain political message.
And what is that message? Because it's a political gesture, political message, you're saying, General. What is that message when we're really just 2 months, a little bit over 2 months before a new administration comes in?
I think it's a message that says we're going to continue to look at providing more resources to keep Ukraine in this fight, following the policy decisions of the Biden administration, which is don't get into a confrontation with Russia, but don't let Ukraine lose. So it's a continuation of the same policy. And Jose, the problem with the policy, just to be very, very clear, is wars don't work that way. In war, you need escalation dominance. We gave up on that. In war, you need to concentrate resources, go after decisive objectives. We're not enabling the Ukrainians to do that. So really, this thing is stalled out right now and has been stalled out as a deliberate policy of the Biden administration. The result is, as some of my Ukrainian colleagues and friends told me when I was in New York a few weeks ago, 50,000 Ukrainian young people now need prosthetics. It's that bad. And each one of these Ukrainians typically goes through not just one amputation, but 2 or 3 amputations because the battlefield care is so poor. So this is an extremely costly policy that we followed for Ukraine. It has not led Ukraine to victory, but it has prevented defeat.
And that stalemate policy is completely diametrically opposed to how Russia has been carrying this invasion out. I mean, Bloomberg now reporting that North Korea may deploy as many as 100,000 troops to help Russia in its war with Ukraine if the alliance between the two countries continues to deepen. I mean, this, General, is something that Russia has not been limiting their efforts.
Well, that's true. I mean, Russia went in first with a mistaken plan, thinking they could seize it with an intelligence-type operation and get rid of Zelensky. When that failed, their military just wasn't capable, even though it had superior forces, of creating decisive operations. And so they've gone at this grinding offensive. But this is characteristic of the Russian military, I have to say, Jose. They've never really understood the training and skills required at the bottom of the military organization to be effective. They continue these meat grinder attacks. That's characteristic of Russian style going back into World War II. And while they haven't used nuclear weapons, they're using a lot of other things that we don't typically hear about, like chemical weapons. They're using thermal barracks. They're attacking civilian infrastructure. It's all against international law. And under the United Nations Charter, every nation should come in to help Ukraine defend and regain its territory.
Meanwhile, General, NBC News has exclusive reporting that the Trump transition team is compiling a list of current and former senior U.S. military officers who were involved in the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan and exploring whether they could be court-martialed for their involvement. This is all according to a U.S. official and a person familiar with the plan. What do you make of that, General?
Well, I think it's first of all, I think it's politically the wrong thing to do. I don't think that that should be done. I don't think you can go back and get people later. But let's say it goes forward. I think if you really look at the evidence, you're going to find that 2 things. Number one is the conditions for the disastrous withdrawal were set actually by the Trump administration and by the president himself when he executed that plan and ignored the Afghans and so forth. But I think you're going to also find that the generals in the effort were under political instructions by the Biden administration to get out as soon as possible, no matter what. And I think when you look at that, you're going to find that maybe there were mistakes somewhere, but they basically did what they were told to do.
Yeah, and General, finally, just thinking of this extraordinary experience that you have and your knowledge of history, when you were talking about the UN and its role and importance in, for example, in issues like what's going on in Russia and Ukraine, but I'm taken back to when I visited the killing fields just outside Srebrenica and what was going on there, where the blue helmets were in Srebrenica and did nothing. How do you, General, bring in these organizations that have charters that in critical times don't do anything?
The United Nations is useful in some circumstances, Jose, but without strong backing from the United States, it's not useful in the most difficult circumstances. It didn't work in Bosnia, and we had to put NATO in there. But if you look at it today in Haiti, if you look at what's going on in Haiti, where the United States is now calling for a UN force to go into Haiti, again, without U.S. leadership, without U.S. technology, the ability to actually go after the gangs and so forth, that United Nations force is not going to be very effective in Haiti.